Hero MotoCorp is getting serious about the premium segment. Now I know it might not look it because the only brand that really stands out is the Xpulse 200, and that isn't exactly flying off the shelves. But now they have a new CEO, they have a new set of products lined up in the premium segment, but importantly they're going to revamp their dealer network to give you that premium experience. But it all begins with this, the first salvo, the Xtreme 160R 4V. Now the 4V is based on the Xtreme 160R 2-valve, which is already in the market, and that's a great base to start with because we love that motorcycle when it comes to lightness, when it comes to feel, when it comes to the whole riding experience. It's a very happy motorcycle, a very involving motorcycle. And what Hero's tried to do with the 4-valve is add some more performance into it and add some visual elements to make it even more sporty or more attractive. And that's what it needs, because at the end this is going to compete against the TVS Apache 160R 4V, and when we had compared the two last time, well, the Apache had come on top. But now after we ride this, we will tell you towards the end of the video whether now the 4V has what it takes to take on the Apache, or is it still trailing. So do stick around for that. First, let's get design out of the way. The basic design of the new 160R 4V mirrors that of the current 2-valve model. But there are some subtle changes. The headlamp for one sits slightly lower. The tank design has changed too, but not too dramatically. It has a new belly pan, and the Pro model we have here also comes with a 2-piece seat as standard. And of course you have the gold upside down front forks, which are more to enhance the motorcycle's mechanical capabilities, but these do play a part in giving the 4V an even sportier aura than the regular model. Feature-wise, you will only get single-channel ABS along with disc brakes at both ends. You have tubeless tires with the rear having radial construction. There's LED lighting all around for the headlight, tail light and the turn indicators, and the instrumentation is fully digital. One can, however, also opt for Connectivity Suite 2.0 on the new bike, but it is only available on the mid-spec version called Connected. There is no option of adding the connectivity suite to either this, the Pro model, or the base 4V version. As part of the connectivity package, which is enabled using an eSIM, this Bluetooth-enabled feature ties in with an app on the smartphone to send out accident-related alerts in case the bike takes a tumble. It also alerts the owner about the bike's whereabouts or intended theft attempts, and it gets turn-by-turn navigation. It can also help you locate a dealer, book a service, or call for roadside assistance. Now mechanically, the biggest change on this motorcycle, of course, is the engine. The 160R that's already on sale uses a 2-valve head. This has a 4-valve head, which means better breathability. But that's not where the story ends, because Hero says this is a brand new engine. And we don't doubt that, because if you look at the bore and stroke figures of the 2-valve and this, there's a big difference. That is an undersquare engine, which means it has a longer stroke and a smaller bore. This has a huge bore and a smaller stroke. So it is you would say a top-end friendly motorcycle. At least that's what the specs suggest, with the 4-valve head and of course an over square layout. But they went through that to make these changes just to deliver the performance that they've been promising. Plus the gearbox is new on this motorcycle as well, so you've got gear ratios that are closer together, which will help achieve the acceleration figures that Hero's been claiming. And then of course there's a change to the final drive as well. And now let's just make you hear what this engine sounds like. So this is at idle, and there is a sense of refinement that is there. There are very minute vibrations at various touch points, but not a lot at all. The exhaust note is slightly throaty, and then when we rev it, so this is about around 4000 RPM. Again, feels very smooth, feels very willing to rev, and exhaust note also continues to have that slight baritone to it. don't mind the birds. And now this is up to 6,000 RPM. And again, the way the engine revs, it doesn't feel restricted, it doesn't feel like it's strained in any way, it's just willing to do that, and I guess that's a function of having an over-square engine. So they've done well there. And now let's hear, if you hit it right to the rev limiter, what it sounds like. It's a nice right at the top at about 10,000 RPM, I believe. So sounds good, feels nice, is refined. Exhaust note is, it has that nice baritone to it, so you feel good when you're hearing it. But that all this is when, of course, the motorcycle is standing still. Now we're going to take it out on the road, and we'll come back and tell you whether all this also translates into a much nicer feeling, riding, peppier motorcycle on the road. The other mechanical bits on this motorcycle, this top spec motorcycle, of course, is the USD front fork from KYB, and you've got a new monoshock as well with 7-step preload. There is no adjustability on the front one, but overall, KYB, we've experienced motorcycles in the past, and they do a very good job when it comes to spring rates and damping, and it makes for a motorcycle that both rides well and handles well. Not that the 2-valve version, the one already on sale, isn't good. I think it's a lovely motorcycle, but this should up the game further. Just to give you an indication on how well damped it is, you can look at the front and you can see that even after pushing it, the rebound is so well judged that it comes up and just settles. So there is no pogoing effect that happens, which might unsettle the motorcycle. I'll show it to you. And that's a great example of a well set up suspension, at least in my book. We do that when we've got adjustable suspension to see where we stand. Otherwise, all other mechanical bits, the chassis, the wheels, the tires, the brakes, everything is similar to the 2-valve. And again, it's not a bad thing, because like we've said enough times in the past that we like that motorcycle, it's a well sorted motorcycle, and we expect this should feel the same on the road. The Xtreme 160R always offered a good balance between comfort and sport, more comfort, less sporty, and that continues on the Xtreme 4-valve as well. So firstly, the seat with the 2-piece seat version, is the seat height is only 795, so I'm 5'8", and as you can see, I can comfortably put both my feet firmly on the ground. And the seating ergos overall are also more comfortable, like we said. So handlebar, the reach isn't too far. Also the levers, of course, you can adjust the the angle on that, but right now, straight off the factory also, they're very nicely thought out, so the strain on your wrist and all that when you're using it would be a lot less. And the foot peg position is more neutral, maybe a little rear set, and therefore it helps you grip the tank well, but it doesn't make for a commuterish, boring seating position. The only challenge we have here, and good there's a shield here, is that if you have slightly bigger feet, you will rest it on the exhaust shield and chances are you will scrape it, but that's collateral damage, so to speak, but it's not uncomfortable, it is comfortable to be in. What I also like what they've done is to give this heel plate. So if you want to ride sportily, it helps you to grip the motorcycle well, right from the point where your foot pegs are all the way into the tank. And so if you want to move around on the bike, you can do it quite easily. Also the seat on this two-piece version, there is a little more room. It's still not very roomy, but there is a little more room for you to move up and about. And overall, yeah, it makes for a nice comfortable motorcycle to be on, to commute on, even maybe to ride long distances, and of course take on corners. Feels very much up to the task. The engine feels equally refined on the move. It's never vibe-free, but the vibrations don't ever get to irritating levels either. There is a step up in the vibes that can be felt from close to 7,000 RPM, but nothing that'll keep you from pinning the throttle. That is, if you are in a mood to ride fast. And peppy or fast, the 160R 4V most certainly is. It gets to 80 km per hour in a hurry, and then it is happy to sit at 80-90 km per hour without ever feeling slow or strained. Plus, getting to 100 km per hour on the speedo, mind, isn't a big struggle either. It certainly feels more alive than the 2-valve Xtreme. And as far as top speed goes, it does run out of breath at an indicated 115 km per hour, but that is with my weight. A lighter rider would mean a higher top speed. The throttle response is crisp but linear, and though the engine feels happiest in the mid-range, it still picks up from 3000 RPM with the throttle wide open without much of a bother. The new front suspension, meanwhile, has made a difference, and it has helped improve the overall ride experience. The ride is better. It feels pliant and absorbent over potholes and bumps, and even when loaded under braking, it doesn't exactly bottom out with ease, adding to both comfort and stability. The rear, though plush and comfy, seems more excitable than the front. It is good for the most part, but come a series of bumps and the rear does feel unsettled. As far as handling goes, the Xtreme continues to be a stable, responsive, predictable and enjoyable motorcycle. It tips into corners without effort and then flows through the rest seamlessly. It feels well balanced and confident, plus the front is feelsome, which makes it reliable and predictable and allows you to push harder. Additionally, the Xtreme 160R 4V Pro feels stable at higher speeds no matter how undulating the road. If anything, the brakes on the motorcycle could have been better. These work when the bike is ridden sedately, offering good feel and bite, but ride with enthusiasm and the brake fade is all too obvious almost immediately. And it doesn't fill the rider with much confidence to push harder then on. So what do we think about the Hero Xtreme 160R 4-valve? Well, not surprisingly, we like the motorcycle. We like the Xtreme 160R 2-valve. We liked it because it was fun, it was intuitive, it was affordable, and most things hold true for the 4-valve as well, only it has made it better. So I think visually this motorcycle looks bulkier, bigger, it seems to have more road presence, and when you get on it and start riding that engine, you can feel that mid-range punch. It doesn't start struggling at the top. You can hit over 100 km per hour on the speedo with ease. It just doesn't feel like it's strained or anything. So in terms of performance, clearly there's been a significant upgrade. And now with the suspension upgrade, the USD front forks and of course a new monoshock at the back, the Xtreme feels surer, truer to responses, and because of that it gives you more confidence when you start pushing it hard, when you lean it into corners, even the transition left to right, right to left, it's just a lot more seamless now, a lot more truer. We rode it at the track inside, we rode it outside, and you start feeling that maybe it could do with a little better braking system, maybe it could do with nicer tires, because the chassis and the suspension and the engine also, they're willing to be pushed and they're willing to be ridden hard, and that's a great feeling in a motorcycle. So this continues to be a very happy motorcycle indeed. And now to the bigger question as to how this compares with the Apache 160 RTR 4-valve. Now last time we compared these two motorcycles, this of course wasn't the 4-valve version, it was the 2-valve version, the Apache one. It had performance in its favor, it felt like the more mature, bigger motorcycle, the quality levels were better, and overall it just seemed more value for money, even though the 2-valve was cheaper. Now this one, if you compare apples to apples, this is now more expensive than the Apache 160 RTR 4-valve Bluetooth. But of course it now has performance that probably can match the Apache. And the other bits, the things that were loaded in its favor, continue, which is it's a fun to ride motorcycle, it's a nice handling motorcycle. But is it the better motorcycle to buy? Now that, I think, given that it is a little pricier now, we would have liked to see a little, quality improvements, little better quality on this motorcycle. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty even match. and a decision that we can only take when we ride them back to back. But one thing's for sure, the Apache doesn't have an obvious advantage anymore. The 4-valve has pulled that or has reduced that and made it an even playing field.